Part 1, Parables of Mercy, Forgiveness. The Good Samaritan, Luke 10:25-37.
Jesus was a master storyteller, using simple parables to reveal the mysteries of God's love. He spoke of everyday things, farmers, shepherds, bread, so everyone could understand. These stories were more than entertainment. They were lessons about life, faith, and compassion. Jesus knew stories could reach the heart in ways rules never could. Crowds gathered, thirsty for his words as he painted pictures of forgiveness and grace. Through parables he invited people to see the world, and God, differently. These stories are timeless, still speaking to us today. When we read them, we sit at the feet of the master storyteller, letting his words transform us. Each parable is an invitation to draw closer to God and share his love with others. Let's listen to one of his most famous stories. One day, in the bustling heart of an ancient city, a respected expert in religious law approached Jesus. This man was known for his sharp mind and deep understanding of Scripture, and he was eager to put Jesus to the test with a question that had puzzled many before him. With a voice that carried both curiosity and challenge, he asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" The crowd around them grew silent, sensing the weight of the moment. This was not just a casual inquiry, it was a question about the very meaning of life and what it takes to be truly right with God. But instead of giving a straightforward answer, Jesus turned the question back to the expert. He replied, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" By doing this, Jesus invited the man to reflect on his own knowledge and understanding, encouraging him to look deeper into the teachings he valued so highly. The expert, confident in his learning, answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." These words summed up the heart of the law, expressing devotion to God and compassion for others. Jesus nodded in approval and said, "You have answered correctly, do this, and you will live." It was a simple yet profound affirmation, reminding everyone that true life is found in love for God and for people. But the expert, perhaps feeling the challenge in Jesus' words, wanted to go further. Seeking to clarify the limits of his responsibility and maybe to justify himself, he pressed on with another question. "And who is my neighbor?" He was searching for boundaries, hoping for a clear definition that would make the command easier to follow. Deep down, he hoped for a simple answer. One that would draw a line around whom he was truly obligated to love. Was it just his fellow countrymen, or did it include strangers, outsiders, even enemies? But instead of giving a list or a rule, Jesus prepared to answer in a way that would challenge everyone's assumptions. He began to tell a story, a parable that would stretch the boundaries of love and redefine what it means to be a neighbor. The crowd leaned in, their faces filled with anticipation. They sensed that something important was about to be revealed, something that might turn their understanding upside down. The answer Jesus was about to give would not be a simple rule or a checklist, but a radical call to compassion, a call to see every person as worthy of love and mercy no matter who they are. The listeners hung on every word, eager to hear what Jesus would say next. They knew that his stories often held deeper truths, and they were ready to be challenged. And so, with the crowd gathered close and hearts open, Jesus began his story, a story that would forever change the way people understood love, mercy, and what it truly means to be a neighbor. Jesus told of a man who set out on a journey along the infamous road from Jerusalem to Jericho, a route known far and wide for its peril. This was not just any road, it twisted through barren hills and deep ravines, a place where travelers often felt a chill of fear with every step. The path was lonely, the silence broken only by the crunch of footsteps on gravel and the distant call of birds circling overhead. This path was notorious for danger. Robbers lurked among the rocks waiting for the unwary. Every shadow could hide a threat, and every bend in the road brought a new risk. Travelers hurried through, glancing over their shoulders, hoping to avoid the fate that had befallen so many before. On this day, the man was attacked without warning. The robbers struck swiftly, stripping him of his clothes, beating him mercilessly, and leaving him half dead by the side of the road. His belongings were gone, his dignity shattered, and his body broken. Alone and helpless, he lay in the dust, his life hanging by a thread. The world seemed to shrink to the patch of ground beneath him, the pain in his body, and the fear in his heart. The sun beat down relentlessly, scorching his skin as pain throbbed through every limb. With each passing moment, hope faded a little more. He wondered if anyone would ever find him, or if this lonely road would be his final resting place. Would anyone stop to help, or would he be left to die as so many others had before him? The road was busy, but compassion was rare. People passed by, their eyes averted, unwilling to get involved. In that moment, his identity didn't matter. He was simply a human in desperate need. His outstretched hand was a silent plea, a universal cry for mercy that anyone could understand. Jesus painted a scene of utter vulnerability, making the story personal for everyone listening. Each person in the crowd could imagine themselves on that road, facing the same danger, longing for someone to care. The question was no longer theoretical. It was a matter of life and death. The listeners felt the weight of the moment, their hearts pounding as they wondered what they would do if they were in his place. The man's only hope was the kindness of a stranger, a glimmer of compassion in a world that often turned away. Would anyone be brave enough to stop, to risk their own safety for the sake of another? The crowd could feel the tension. What would happen next? The story hung in the air, inviting each listener to consider their own response. The story was about to reveal the true meaning of being a neighbor, not just in words but in action, in the willingness to cross boundaries and show mercy to a stranger. And so, the drama unfolded on the road to Jericho, a timeless lesson about compassion, courage, and what it truly means to love your neighbor as yourself. The story begins with a priest, a figure held in high esteem, making his way down a lonely, sunlit road. His presence commands respect. He is someone people look up to for guidance, wisdom, and moral clarity. As he walks, the world seems to pause, expecting him to act with compassion and integrity. Surely everyone watching would assume he'd stop to help. But as the priest notices the wounded man lying helpless by the roadside, he hesitates. Instead of drawing closer, he deliberately crosses to the other side, his eyes fixed ahead, choosing not to get involved. The silence of his decision echoes loudly. Not long after, a Levite appears, a man also known for his religious devotion and service in the temple. He too is trusted by the community, someone who knows the sacred laws and rituals by heart. The Levite slows as he approaches the scene. He sees the suffering, the pain etched on the injured man's face. Yet, after a moment's pause, he chooses to keep his distance, passing by without offering a word or a helping hand. Both men, pillars of their faith and community, had a clear opportunity to show kindness, but instead, they prioritized their own comfort, safety, and perhaps their reputation over the urgent needs of a fellow human being. Their choices revealed a painful truth, a gap between knowing what is right and actually living it out. It's easy to recite rules or preach about love, but much harder to act when it truly matters. The crowd listening to this story was stunned. The very people expected to lead by example had failed to do so, leaving everyone questioning their own assumptions about goodness and duty. Meanwhile, the wounded man remained where he was, his hope fading with each passing moment. Alone and vulnerable, he waited for someone, anyone, to care enough to stop. 2 chances for mercy had come and gone. Both were missed, leaving the man's fate uncertain and the listeners unsettled. The story pressed a difficult question into the hearts of its listeners. Faced with the same situation, would we act any differently? Or would we too find reasons to walk away? Sometimes those with the most knowledge, the highest status, or the greatest resources are the very ones who turn away from those in need. It's a sobering reminder that compassion is not guaranteed by position or education. True love and kindness are proven not by what we say, but by what we do, especially when it's inconvenient or risky. The real test of our character is found in our actions. And so, as the story reached this moment of tension, everyone wondered what would happen next. The tale was about to take an unexpected and unforgettable turn. Then, a Samaritan came along, the last person anyone expected to help. Jews and Samaritans were enemies, divided by centuries of conflict. Yet when the Samaritan saw the wounded man, he was moved with compassion. He didn't see an enemy, he saw a fellow human in need. Without hesitation, he went to the man's side. He ignored social boundaries and personal risk. Compassion overpowered prejudice. The Samaritan became the hero, not because of who he was, but because of what he did. Jesus' twist shocked the crowd. The true neighbor was the outsider. Love knows no boundaries, race, religion, or status. The story redefined what it means to be a neighbor. The least likely person became the greatest example of mercy. The lesson was clear: compassion is what makes us neighbors. The Samaritan's compassion turned into action. He treated the man's wounds with oil and wine, bandaging them with care. He lifted the man onto his own animal, sacrificing his comfort for the stranger's safety. He brought him to an inn, stayed through the night, and cared for him personally. The next day, he paid the innkeeper to continue the care, promising to cover any extra costs. His kindness was generous, practical, and costly. He didn't just offer temporary help, he ensured the man's full recovery. The Samaritan's love was unconditional, expecting nothing in return. He treated a stranger as a brother, crossing every barrier. True compassion is more than a feeling, it's a commitment to act. The story showed that real love is sacrificial and complete. The Samaritan's example challenged everyone listening. This is what it means to be a neighbor. Jesus finished the story and turned to the law expert. Which of these three was a neighbor to the man in need, he asked. The answer was obvious but hard to admit. The one who showed him mercy. Jesus replied, "Go and do likewise." The focus shifted from defining who deserves love to being the one who gives it. Being a neighbor isn't about boundaries. It's about action. Mercy, compassion, and kindness are what matter most. Don't just talk about love, live it. Don't ask, "Who is my neighbor?" Instead, be a neighbor to anyone in need. The story tore down walls of prejudice and called for radical love. A neighbor is anyone who needs your help, no matter who they are. Jesus' command was simple, but life-changing. Go and do likewise. The challenge was clear. Will we be neighbors too? The road to Jericho is everywhere. Our neighborhoods, schools, and workplaces. People around us are hurting, lonely, or in need. We can choose to ignore them, or we can be good Samaritans. Being a neighbor starts with noticing, listening, and caring. Small acts of kindness, an encouraging word, a helping hand, a shared meal, can heal wounds. Compassion means acting, not just feeling sorry. Don't just scroll past or say, "I'll pray for you." Get involved. Jesus calls us to put faith into action. Go and do likewise. Be the one who stops, helps, and shows mercy. Every day offers a chance to be a neighbor. The world needs more Good Samaritans. Will you answer the call? Be the neighbor someone is hoping for today. The message of the Good Samaritan is urgent in our divided world. We build walls, political, religious, cultural, but Jesus calls us to break them down. Everyone is your neighbor, the stranger, the outsider, even those you disagree with. The story calls us to see shared humanity, not differences. Grace means helping those who haven't earned it, just as God helps us. When we show mercy, we reflect God's heart. Let's look for opportunities to be neighbors, choosing compassion over convenience. We may not solve every problem, but we can make a difference for one person. Be the answer to someone's prayer. Be the unexpected hero in someone's story. The world needs neighbors who love without limits. Go and do likewise. Let love be your legacy. The story is not just ancient history, it's a call to action for us all.
Please click like, share and subscribe. Subscribe to Parable Spark for more inspiring fables brought to life today. Thank you for watching the whole video.